Welcome to Starcraft 2 Battle Report.
My name's Dustin Browder, I'm the lead designer on Starcraft 2.
And my name's Robert Simpson, I'm a Blizzard esports team member.
We've got a great game for you here today. We've got Matt Cooper playing as the Blue Zerg, and we've got David Kim playing as the Red Terrans.
These players are going to be duking it out on blistering stands. This is a 1v1 map that no one at home has gotten to see yet. Down in the lower left-hand corner of the map, we can see David Kim starting as the Red Terran, and all the way across the terrain up in that top right corner, we have Matthew Cooper playing as the Blue Zerg.
Yeah, so this map has a lot of special features on it that will really affect the course of gameplay, and there's a lot of new mechanics that are original and new to StarCraft 2 on this map. Now, coming down from the Zerg base, there's this narrow ramp here that players can use to defend their base. And from this ramp, you move into the first, what we call the natural expansion. This is a place where the Zerg player could easily create a new base and harvest some additional resources. There's a very small choke here the Zerg player can use to defend his base. And as we move out across the map, we'll see there's other opportunities for both players to expand. There's these rocks that are guarding this expansion. You need to destroy these rocks with weapon fire in order to get access to these yellow crystals, which are worth a lot more than the blue crystals that are in the players' bases. There's also these Xel'Naga watchtowers, which players can capture with a single unit that gives them vision over a wide area of the map. These are very, very key to understanding what's going on the map and to be able to scout your enemy's movements before he moves to engage you. And like any good StarCraft map, it's mirrored on all sides. So you can see there's another rock up there with some more yellow crystals, and over here there's an expansion for the Terrans, a small choke point that leads back up into the Terran base.
David Kim's throwing down his first barracks as he sends that first SCV out to try to scout Matthew Cooper's base.
Yeah, and that SCV is going to move past it. It's going to see that Overlord flying overhead, so he knows the other player's playing as the Zerg at this point, and he's going to move in and see what he can see inside the Zerg base. This first scout is very, very important. And here comes a drone moving down, trying to create a fast expansion.
And here he goes. It's looking like that SCV is just going to miss that drone. We can see that Matt Cooper was saving up his minerals to try and get the fast expand down, and it looks like David Kim moves away. He doesn't see this expansion, and Matthew Cooper seizes the opportunity and places that natural expand.
What a great move by the Zerg player. That SCV could totally have blocked that drone from making that hatchery. The hatchery cannot build where the SCV is standing, so the SCV could just hung out there and blocked that drone from making that hatchery. Instead, the drone sneaks off, hides in the back, and he's able to make the expansion, put the hatchery in play, and the SCV is reduced to just scouting around inside the Zerg base.
And so David Kim is moving this SCV around, and it looks like Matt Cooper tries to throw down a spawning pool, but that SCV gets a little revenge by blocking it, delaying it for a few seconds. Matthew Cooper knows that he needs to get down that spawning pool to keep up, and there it goes.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was hoping to do with the hatchery. He could have kept that hatchery occupied and off the board for a long time, but instead the hatchery has gone down, and now even the spawning pools go down, and that SCV is just reduced to scouting around inside the base.
And now David Kim's base, he's just building like usual, and back over at that natural expansion, David Kim is not giving up on harassing this natural.
And there goes a bunker. What a great move by the Terran players, putting a bunker into position there. And you can see the drone is attacking the bunker, trying to attack the SCV to make sure that bunker doesn't go into position. If the Terran player can get any troops into that bunker, it could be a real problem for the Zerg player.
Now, the Zerg player is not discouraged by this move. He's moving out an extra drone to give it just a little bit back up. He wants that hatchery to finish. It is imperative to his strategy to get that fast expand.
And here comes the Terrans trying to reinforce that bunker. He's got another SCV, and his first Marine is moving across the map, trying to get to that bunker in time so he can really use that bunker to tear apart that hatchery and just cause all kinds of problems for the Zerg player.
Like we can see that Matt Cooper's spawning pool just finished up, and there we can see 4 Zerglings being built. He's going to need those Zerglings to take down that bunker.
Now you can see in the upper left-hand corner there, we've got our new overlays that show us what's going on the map. And you can see there are 4 Zerglings currently in production right now, and a Queen, which could be instrumental in protecting this Zerg base from this very aggressive move by the Terran player.
And Matthew Cooper is going for banelings as well. We saw him put down that extractor a little bit earlier. He now has some gas. He's getting those banelings started. They deal absolutely enormous damage to ground units.
And there, the one Marine has gotten into the bunker, and the bunker is being repaired by the SCV, and the Terran presses on. The creep is expanding around the bunker, but it's not going to be enough to really stop this bunker from doing a lot of damage. The Zergling, 4 Zerglings is not enough to take down that bunker, so especially with the SCVs in the area. So he's going to back away and move to a position here where he can block any additional reinforcements from moving to engage against this bunker. He doesn't want any more Terran forces to get in here and help this bunker out. And you can see those Zerglings are dancing back and forth on the left-hand side of your screen while the Queen dances around looking for an opportunity to come in and strike at this bunker. And here's some Zerglings moving in. Oh, not quite liking the look of that. They need more reinforcements than that. Moving away to a chance where they can move everything in to attack the bunker.
Now Matt Cooper's moving in with everything all at once. Right as his spine crawler is just about to finish up, he is going to lay down too much fire on that bunker for those SCVs to handle. It's looking like a relatively large loss for David Kim.
Yeah, he's taken out that Marine and he's taken out that bunker, and it looks like the the Terran's hopes of sort of an early victory against this expansion have been dashed. The Queen is in play, and the Zerglings are free, loose, moving across the map.
Now we can see the Queen taking advantage of spawning those extra larvae on that hatchery. We just saw them fly off of there. Back over at David Kim's base, he has continued production as usual. He does have a second bunker down, and he's going for 2 tech labs in addition to the Merc compound. We could see some Reapers out here.
Yeah, the Merc compound allows him to upgrade his Marines, but it also enables him to create Reapers, which is a small, fast, jump jet equipped infantry that can really... Oh, and here comes the Zerg trying to push in. The Terrans bring up a few SCVs as reinforcements, and the Marines manage to drive the Zerg back. The Terrans have managed to hold their choke against what might have been a very dangerous raid by the Zerg.
That's right, that was too many Zerglings for just those 4 Marines to try to hold off, so we did bring up those SCVs as a little reinforcement. We do see a couple Banelings being morphed into play over here. Those Zerglings are able to evolve into Banelings, which are little guys that roll around and explode for tons of damage.
Yeah, they do a lot of damage to small units like Reapers and like Marines. This could be a real threat to the Terran player, especially if he remains, in that choke in an area that's small. Those Banelings can do a lot of damage. He doesn't see the Banelings. He doesn't know the threat he's in here. He's just dancing out, trying to push the Zerg back, and the Zerg are backing away a little bit, trying to get the Terrans to draw away so they can really use those Banelings and Zergling to just tear them to pieces.
Now he's trying to keep all these units occupied while his Banelings get into position. Here he goes. It's looking like he's moving in, going to try to use those Banelings to deal some terrible damage on that Terran player.
Oh, and he manages to avoid the SCV. What a great move by the Zerg player. He's moving in. He's trying to find the perfect spot, and there he takes out a couple of Marines. What a great move. And it looks like the Marines are running for their lives now, trying to get away. He's got 1 Marine, 1 SCV on the run as he tries to get out. He's got 2 Reapers in the base, but it's looking very, very bad for the Terran player right now as the Zerg move in for what could be the kill.
If those Banelings are able to get around into the SCVs, we could deal huge economic damage to David Kim, but it's not looking like they're going to be able to get there because he places his Marine perfect. We have a couple of the Reapers laying down some cover fire. Will that Baneling be able to take out both of those Reapers? No, only one of them goes down. He still has the Reaper and the Marine to defend.
What a great move by the Terran player. He uses 1 Marine to block that position between those 2 barracks, and it prevented the Banelings from getting in and doing what they really wanted to do, which was get into the SCVs. They could have just done tons of damage to those SCVs, and instead, the Terran player gets away relatively free from that attack, and he's moved into a position here where he's not going to be able to do a lot. Now, the Zerg are moving their spine crawler up to defend their base, and it looks like he's preparing for what could be, what he's worried might be, a counterattack. At the same time, he is putting down a Roach Warren, which is going to allow him to put roaches on the battlefield while the Terrans continue to move out and try to keep these Zerg away from his base.
Now, all these Zerglings here are just too many for a couple of those Marines in the SCV, so he brings the Reapers as backup. Will those Zerglings be able to surround the Reapers? No! One of those Reapers in the back only had 10 HP. Due to David Kim's fantastic positioning, he was able to keep that alive and keep the pressure on.
And that's a lot of Zerglings on the field right now. We saw a Terran bunker going up there by the Terran choke point there. That'll be a huge help for the Terran player. He's really going to need that. Meanwhile, we can see here in our overlays that the Zerg are researching Burrow, which could be a very effective weapon for the Zerg to continue his harassment of the Terrans. 1 Reaper scouting around trying to see what he can see. What a mistake. He's been surrounded and destroyed by the Zerg, who right now have complete control of the entire map.
Ooh, what a futile loss for David Kim. That was, it certainly wasn't worth anything. So we can see that David Kim is going for this command center. He knows that he needs to expand, or else Matt Cooper is going to pull ahead on that economic advantage.
And you can see here the Zerg are trying to break through these rocks that are a backdoor into the Terran base. At the same time, the Terran player is very, very aware of this threat. He knew this was a possibility the minute those Zerg moved away, and he's moved to SCV over here to create a supply depot where he can watch these rocks. And now the Terran player is very, very aware of the danger of these rocks being destroyed. He's going to bring some Reapers up and try to defend these rocks so that the Zerg don't break in and just destroy his entire base.
So those Reapers are able to hop off the cliff and pressure those Zerglings, and they're going to run away and try to hide behind the bushes. Those Reapers don't want to go behind the brush.
He doesn't want to move past the brush, absolutely, because the brush is something that blocks line of sight, and it prevents the Terran player from using his full range to his full advantage. So instead, the Zerg are going to move past the brush and burrow to sort of hide from those Reapers. And you can see there's more roaches moving up, even as the Reapers move up to capture this watchtower. They've captured the watchtower, and that's allowed them to see the roaches. And you can see the roaches are moving in here. That's not a good fight for those Reapers, and they're going to move away to safety.
Those Reapers need to get away as fast as possible, so they're going to go down. We have a couple more roaches, and the Zerglings are coming in for a surround. That one lone Reaper just happened to make the wrong kind of jump, and here he goes. He's getting pressured down. Will we see that Reaper fall? No, it's looking like he's getting away with just 5 HP.
Unbelievable move. He managed to skate away from that Zergling attack and save that Reaper. He really needs every unit on the battlefield right now. The Terran player's in a lot of trouble. He's got Zerglings, he's got roaches, he's got Banelings out on the battlefield to deal with. The Zerg are really in command right now. They're attacking the rocks at will, and they're continuing this relentless assault on the Terran base.
Now we can see that David Kim is going with even more Reapers to try and give the back of his base even more backup. He does not want Matthew Cooper getting in that back door.
Yeah, he really can't let Matt in the back door, and you can see he's moving here to try to engage. He's jumping down. The Reapers are very effective, those two pistols, against those Zerglings, and you can see he doesn't want to fight the Roaches quite as much. Even though he might be able to survive that fight, he would lose a lot of Reapers as part of the battle, and you can see the Zerg knows this. He's bringing up more Roaches to keep putting pressure on these rocks. At the same time, he's moving other forces to the front, trying to keep David Kim guessing, where are the Zerg going to attack next?
That's right, Matt Cooper is now able to pressure both the back and the front at the same time. We can see a bunch of Banelings getting morphed into play. Will they be able to finish in time? We have a bunch of those Reapers trying to go around and destroy that Roach there, but it's not looking like it's going to happen. Will we see the Banelings finish? We're probably going to see some D8 charges thrown down. Oh, there they are. Here come a bunch of Banelings. Those D8 charges.
Oh, terrible, terrible damage on both sides. You can see the Zerg lost almost all of their forces to those D8 charges, to those proximity mines thrown down by the Reapers. At the same time, the Banelings swept in and just took out a huge number of the Terran Marines. You can see the Zerg are trying to press their advantage here and get in, but they don't have a lot of forces left. The Marines have managed to reinforce that bunker, and now the Zerg are just not really able to be very effective with what they have in the field. They got a couple of Roaches. The Marines are dancing around and making them work for it. Looks like a Marauder just came into play. That's going to be the end of that Roach right there, but there is still one Roach loose on the battlefield, and you can see it's gotten into the back here, and it's attacking that Marine, and now it's free to attack these SCVs. Here comes a Baneling trying to do some damage, and it does some damage to those SCVs. Not enough to take them all out, but still enough to hurt them very, very badly, and allow this Roach to get a lot of free kills on these SCVs.
Fortunately enough, Matt Cooper does have burrow research, so he's able to burrow that Roach while it very quickly regenerates its HP. That's going to enable it to recharge and still maintain just as big of a threat as it was in the first place.
Yeah, he's got this Commando Roach here in the back of the Terran base, just tearing up the SCVs, and he's continuing to pressure the Terran's front door, moving in Zerglings against those Marauders. Not a lot of forces moving, a little bit of a waste of an attack here by the Zerg player, but he wants to keep the pressure up, and he wants to try to make sure that the Terrans can't figure out what to do. You see, the Roach is up again, and he's tearing away those SCVs, killing as many as he can. Meanwhile, the Terrans are moving up some forces, trying to take out that Roach and end this persistent threat.
Oh, and there it goes, burrowing again just in time before that threat can become imminent. We do see an infestation pit is going down for Matt now. He might be going for some higher tech units. We may even see some infestors on the field.
Yeah, infestors would be a powerful choice for the Zerg right now, but it's also a gateway building for him to move into much higher tech units. He can move all the way up to Ultralisks. Once he gets that infestation pit into play, he needs to improve his lair, but he can really move up. And you can see the Zerg here are burrowed. There's some more Zerglings out on the map. The Terrans are moving out. The Banelings are burrowed on. He decides not to use them quite yet. He's drawing the Terrans out. The Marauders are not the greatest target for the Banelings. Still a pretty good choice. And it looks like the Zerg player is sort of drawing the Terrans out, waiting for him to move to a position where he can really get a lot of kills as cheaply as possible against this Terran advance.
And David Kim is moving up towards that Xel'Naga watch area. He wants to take control of the center of the map so that he can see exactly what's going on. If only his units had made it there a few seconds sooner. It's looking like Matt Cooper is going in for a surround. And here he goes. Those Terran units have nowhere to go.
Oh, there's really nowhere for them to run now. It's going to be just all over but for the screaming. Here comes the Banelings moving in, just taking out those Marauders, blowing up, killing everything in sight, and the Zerg once again have just complete control of this battlefield. A few Marines coming way too late, trying to rescue their buddies, don't arrive in time, and they're all torn down by this relentless Zerg attack.
Now, Matt Cooper, again, is maintaining control of the front of David Kim's base. If he is able to keep up his economic advantage, we could really see him contain David Kim until the bitter end.
And you can see he's attacking the back door again here, trying to break through these rocks, and it looks like David Kim has got nothing left to defend these rocks with right now. He's going to have to let them fall, and that's going to give the Zerg another entrance into the Terran base. I don't really see how the Zerg player cannot fail to just overrun the Terrans. He's got more Banelings coming into play, and that supply depot is going to go down very quickly to this Zerg attack.
Now, all these Banelings are just about to finish morphing. We could see them make it right into David Kim's resource line and destroy a ton of SCVs. Here go the Zerglings. They're trying to lead the way here. Oh, and a couple Marauders and some Marines make it into some bunkers. It's looking like those Zerglings cannot pursue.
Yeah, David Kim realized the threat and the danger was in there. He put up some bunkers very, very quickly to allow him to defend his base there. He knew he was not going to be able to protect those rocks anymore and that they were going to fall eventually. So he has put up some bunkers to allow him to defend himself. Meanwhile, the Zerg are moving here to the front door, trying to see what kind of threat they can offer. But this has bought David Kim some time to move his troops around inside his base. So he's free, because the Zerg player's taking a little too long here to press his attack, to move his troops around and protect himself however he chooses.
Now, back over on production, we can see that the Zerglings are researching faster movements so that they can run around a little quicker. Matt Cooper being extra careful to make sure that David Kim cannot look around the rest of the map.
He's got total control right now. He does not want the Terran player to understand what's going on right now. And the Terran player has no idea. There's another expansion going up here for the Zerg right now. He doesn't know about it. And it looks like the Zerg are really in command of the map right now, able to do as they please with this force right in front of the Terran base.
We do see a couple infestors coming into play. Now, David Kim does not want any more commando roaches up in his natural expansion, so we did see a couple of missile turrets going down over there. We do see that David Kim now has worked all the way up to Banshees.
Right, he's really bought himself a lot of time here with all of these delays. The Zerg are not that high-tech yet, and the Banshees are coming out. This is a gunship for the Terran player that's very, very effective against ground units. Not a lot of anti-air in the game right now for the Zerg. It's going to make the Zerg very, very vulnerable to these Banshees. If he can get them into play, they can do a lot of damage to the Zerg right now. So the Terrans not out of the game yet. They're still in a position where their technology could really come into play, and they could really maybe sort of drive off this force that's been harassing them for the whole game.
And here comes Matthew Cooper. He's scouting out the rest of the map as well because he's not sure if possibly David Kim had already built a command center and floated it over to one of these locations.
Yeah, it's so hard with the Terrans to know what exactly is going on with their medevacs and all of the choices they have. It's very easy for the Terrans to sometimes sneak some buildings around the map and hide them in places where you least expect them. You saw those Banshees flying by overhead. Not a lot of Banshees moving out here from the Terrans, but he is in a bad position. He needs to try to put some pressure back on the Zerg, and this is what he needs to find and destroy. What a great move by the Terran player, using these Banshees to find this expansion and forcing this expansion, just destroying this expansion entirely and forcing it out of the game.
And we can see David Kim continue to pressure into Matthew Cooper's base. We can see them flying overhead. He is going to use this air advantage to the best of his ability. We can see them coming over here headed straight for the infestation pit. Yeah,
he's moving right towards doing the damage he can. You can see there's one Hydra's in play. That's not a lot of forces. Oh, some infested Terrans being laid down by the infestor. These guys are not that effective in combat, but they do have a rifle that can shoot air, and that's what the Zerg player needs desperately right now. He needs some anti-air. So he uses those infested Terrans as a soft counter to kind of get some forces into play. Here comes some Zerglings and Roaches trying to move out onto the map. They encounter the Banshees. They can't do anything against those Banshees, so they're forced to burrow and hide underground. Oh, and here comes some Nighthawks into play, using these new caster units, these new drone units for the Terrans. He's going to be able to use these to cast a variety of different spells against the Zerg. He's going to be able to create auto turrets anywhere he wants. He can be able to use a new ability called Hunter Seeker Missile, which moves very, very slowly, but does a lot of damage if you don't run for it. And you can see the Banshees and the Nighthawks are sort of dancing around in front here, trying to see what kind of advantage they can get over this planet. Oh, there's some Banelings take out a whole bunch of Marines as these Marines try to move up to reinforce their air units.
Now we can see from the back door we do have David Kim moving in a couple of Marauders, a few more Marines, and those Nighthawks are coming back into play. That means that infestor's probably going to go down in just a few seconds because those Nighthawks are detectors. They can see that infestor burrow down
so
the ground.
that's a lot of control lost for the Zerg player there. Now he does not have control of the front of the Terran base, and the Terrans are pushing out on the map, sort of doing what they want to do. They're backing up a little bit here, gathering their forces, but the Zerg player has lost a little bit of his board control. He was in absolute dominant control up until now, and it looks like the Terran player is making a little bit of a comeback here with his Nighthawks, his Marauders, and his Marines, pushing onto the board, trying to see what kind of damage he can do against this persistent Zerg player.
Now David Kim is moving into the long haul. We can see him building 4 more barracks, bringing them out onto the battlefield. We do see that Matthew Cooper is bringing in these Hydralisks, taking down a few of those Banshees. These Hydralisks are very strong against air units because they do deal 6 bonus damage per spine.
Yeah, they're very, very dangerous, and that's the threat he doesn't want to deal with right now. So he managed to drop one Banshee. Oh, and here's a battle moving in against the Terran player. There's a lot of Zerglings and a lot of Roaches moving in. And you can see the Hunter Seekers moving against the Hydras. Oh, tons and tons of damage against those Hydras as the Nighthawks back up, trying to avoid the worst of the damage. And it looks like the Terran player is going to lose this battle. They did a lot of damage to those Zerg forces in the fight.
So Matt Cooper's moving back up towards the front of the base. He does not want to lose that contain that he had on David Kim. It's very, very important to keep David Kim as contained as possible in his base because Matt Cooper, as we can see, has been falling behind on unit count.
Yeah, he does not have a lot of units right now, and he's even a little bit behind on the resourcing as well. A little bit of an aggressive move by the Zerg player. Yeah, that was not a good move, and he sees it right away and decides to back away. Those Hydras are upgraded. They're moving more faster than they would ordinarily. It gives him an advantage. You can see there's one SCV scouting around the map, managed to take it down, and here comes the last Banshee taken out by the Zerg, as it looks like another battle is about to begin here in the middle of the board.
Now we have a few more Marines and those Nighthawks coming into play. We're going to see some more Hunter-Seeker missiles because they are so effective. Here comes one across the map. Oh, was not good news for that Roach.
Yeah, it took a lot of damage on those Roaches, but still, the Roaches generate so quickly. I'm not sure you got a lot of gains. Here comes another one moving in, and you can see the Roaches don't like it. They're trying to get away. He's not sure if this will block it or not. He burrows and tries to block it. Doesn't work. He takes the hit from the missile, and it looks like the Zergers are dancing around in front of the base here, trying to do what damage they can, and the Hydras, of course, would love to get a shot off at those Nighthawks and take them down. And the Marines, a little too aggressive here, are going to encounter a lot of Roaches, and they're going to encounter a lot of Zerglings.
Ooh, but David Kim is is prepared with some backup. He's moving in now 5 Nighthawks into play. We can't see Matt Cooper trying to focus down those Nighthawks. We see a couple more Hunter-Seeker missiles. They're able to take down 1 unit each, and they do some splash damage, so it makes the rest of the units much easier for those Marauders and Marines to take out.
What a great use of the Hunter-Seeker missile. This is a new ability that just went in a couple of weeks ago. Neither player is quite sure how to deal with it yet. You can see the Terran player is using it very, very effectively, just tearing up this Zerg force again and again and again with these Hunter-Seekers. The Zerg player, of course, needs to sort of press the attack. He's trying, but he needs to be able to successfully press the attack so the energy on those Nighthawks doesn't regenerate. The Terran player is getting a lot of bonuses right now because he gives a lot of time to regenerate the energy on those Nighthawks, so he's getting off a lot more Hunter-Seekers than ordinarily he could be expected to get.
Now, the Terran player, using all of that space that Matthew Cooper is giving him, now has a second expansion, in addition to having almost double the amount of workers that Matthew Cooper has.
And you see the Overlord tried to spread creep there in time to prevent the expansion, but he missed it by a little bit, and the command center does go down. It looks like the Terrans are now on the push, moving up towards the Zerg base here, and here come the Zerg with a lot of Hydralisks and a lot of Roaches trying to tear these guys down. You can put down an auto turret, try to do some additional damage here to the Zerg forces, and the Zerg are backing up a little bit, wait for the Banelings to come in. Here come the Banelings in, moving against those Marines that can do just terrible damage to them, and you can see he's using Micro very effectively, feeding 1 Marine in at a time, slowing them down with auto turrets, really trying to stop the worst of the damage of those Marauders. He does a lot of damage to those Banelings. Takes damage in return, but still great use of Micro by the Terran player. He really reduced the amount of damage he could have taken from those Banelings by very carefully moving his forces and using auto turrets to try to slow those Banelings down.
As all the ground forces fall, we can see that the Nighthawks are moving up into the Zerg base, trying to pressure as much as they can, or possibly just salvage the rest of his units to try and make them last as long as possible, and that Queen is able to take out that Nighthawk.
Yeah, what a great move by the Zerg. And the Zerg looks like, again, they're in command of the situation. Moving up into the base, those bunkers look like those bunkers are empty, and there's really nothing the Terrans can do at this point to defend this base. They're going to have to bring some additional reinforcements. He's using his SCVs to try to defend himself against all of those Zergs. And oh, here come the Terran reinforcements. More Nighthawks, more Marines, and more Marauders to try to defend this expansion and protect it from the Zerg.
Those Hydralisks and those Zerglings are just no match for this force. We see a ton of Nighthawks, we see some Marauders, we see some Marines coming in. Those Marines do have their combat shield research, which means that now instead of having only 45 HP, they have 55 HP. This is huge against Hydralisks and Zerglings.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage for the Terran players. It really gives the Marine a lot of additional use in the late game to get that upgrade, and you can see the Terran players are back in control against all odds. He's got his Marines, he's got his Marauders, he's got his Nighthawks, he can detect burrowed units with his force, he can deal with just about any threat. Ooh, there are some Banelings trying to morph, but he morphed them a little too far to the front, and they're taking damage before they get a chance to come out in the battlefield. You can see they've all been taken out by those Marauders and those Marines, and the Terrans are pressing into the Zerg base. The Zerg player's backing up, trying to sort of buy himself some time, see what he can do to avoid the worst of this attack, trying to give time for his base defenses to tear up that Terran force.
Matt Cooper's trying to use his Hydralisks, his Roaches, his Spine Crawlers to defend his base, but it looks like it's just no match with that combined Nighthawk backup for those Marines and Marauders. We have him moving in. It's looking like Matt Cooper's getting backed up into the corner. Is there anything that he can do to stop this situation?
It looks really bad for the Zerg player. He's backing up. He's trying to buy himself time. You can see the Marauders and Marines are just tearing his force, but here come the drones trying to move in, and there's the GG from Matt Cooper. Good game, he says to David Kim, as the Zerg makes his final stand here at his expansion.
We saw a great game between these two players, saw a ton of Hunter-Seeker missiles. That's a huge congratulations for David Kim. He just made excellent use of that tech that he now has available.
Yeah, and a lot of Micro from both players. What a great game of StarCraft 2.
Thanks for watching the StarCraft 2 Battle Report.